Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Lazer Grand Arena Week 2. We are into our semifinals here in the single elimination portion of the bracket. Two players victorious earlier today facing off now. It is Amamya Kokoro versus Tebi. Amamya Kokoro victorious over Enri by a 5 mil to 4.4 mil score. Tebi victorious over Nope KJK with a 4.2 versus 3.58 mil score. I'm this one guy. Joining me for this match will be none other than Miles, and we've been discussing this match quite a bit before it started, Miles, and I think we should be in for a pretty good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Amamya, Kokoro, Tebi, two very long-time tournament players, both have tons of experience under their belt. Both have seen lots of success in the scene, and now meeting up here in the semifinals of Lazer Grand Arena. I'm sure both of these guys have thought a lot about their picks. As we are already getting into the ban phase, we see Amamya Kokoro opting into a DT2 ban against Tebi, which is a skill set that Tebi won quite overwhelmingly so against Nope KJK earlier today. So maybe wanting to get that mechanics out of the way. And Tebi gonna ban the Hard Rock 3. Also makes a lot of sense against a player like Amamya Kokoro. And he's gonna be picking some DTs.
Yeah, this is some speedy drafting as we've kind of come to expect, but Tebi with that first draft pick, DT3, was a map that they both played in their previous matches. Amamya Kokoro did have the better score on it, but only by about 77,000, so Tebi feeling here that it may be winnable if he just performs to his own expectations. Amamya Kokoro, no real surprise there, going for a double gimmick pick, goes Nomad 4, which was an incredible score for him, dropped a 730k on Nelv previously. Nomad 5, the Mad Piano Party, also a really challenging niche pick. Amamya Kokoro on that one, also putting up a great score, 729k to match the 729k on Nomad 4. So I really like those picks from Amamya Kokoro. Those are super scary, I think, if you're Tebi to be seeing those on the other side.
And surprisingly, after having Nomad 5 Mad Piano Party picked into him, Tebi goes for the Hidden 2 Bestrafrung, which is low AR A map, but still, it's kind of funny seeing one player pick low AR gimmick and then another player pick another kind of low AR gimmick. Just kind of goes to show how different those types of maps are. And now Tebi gonna ban out the Nomad 3, so no ult to be picked by Amamya Kokoro. But yeah, it's so funny seeing the optics of this like pick ban phase, because it's not about like just flat out winning the maps in Lazer Grand Arena. It's about having a big deficit on maps. So if you can really dominate your opponent on one map, it can determine the outcome of the match, like we discussed earlier with AKNZX and Zudinator.
Yeah, it affects matches in a way that you're normally not used to because of the cumulative score. If you can find one pick that you are just incredible on versus your opponent, you can essentially win just straight up off of one pick, which I would suspect Amamya Kokoro is hoping to be what happens with the Nomad 4, perhaps, with that score gap being nearly 200k in their last matches between their scores. So we'll see how that plays out here. Decent amount of mechanics they're getting banned out. The Nomad 1, DT1, those are just gigantic aim Nomad 1 and high BPM aimy bursty DT1. Amamya Kokoro not wanting to leave those available. Both of those maps were banned against Tebi by Nope KJK as well, so he's not getting a chance at any of those today.
I guess not, but for good reason. Tebi's very good at those skill sets. Rather not have to face him on those. But yeah, we see the HR1 getting banned out now. Amamya Kokoro next to pick. Probably expect him to pick Shadow Castle here, quite honestly. Shadow Castle or perhaps Infinity Heaven. Both could be good picks.
Yeah, definitely a few different options in kind of those more gimmicky maps, I suppose, remaining. What are remaining maps? Nomad 2, Hidden 1, Hidden 3, Hard Rock 2, DT4. Highdown has now listed out. Yeah, I would be happy with seeing him pick Shadow Castle here as well. I think that's like the obvious hidden tech. Like, I think that just goes well in this matchup. Nomad 2 is actually another option I'm very curious to see if we get in this one. Both played it last time. Amamya Kokoro had a better score, but Tebi was the one to pick it. They both picked it themselves, I suppose. So we'll see if that one ends up getting played with both having picked it and both getting pretty good scores last time around. But Kokoro's just gonna ban it, which is kind of bizarre to me, actually. But this isn't a pick. This isn't a ban anyway. This is a pick. So this is actually his second to last pick. Last pick. Where are we here? Hang on. I gotta look at the sheet. Yeah, this is Amamya Kokoro's last pick. Okay. We may have made a blunder for Amamya Kokoro, leaving that information out there.
Yeah, that might be a little bit of a red flag for Tebi to pick that one later. So
green flag, if you will.
Green flag, yeah,
red
for
flag,
sure.
Red flag for Amamya Kokoro, green flag for Tebi. I believe would be how to look at that.
All right, and here's Shadow Castle. Pick coming out from Amamya Kokoro, the aim control hidden tech stream map, whatever you may call it. Something you've seen a lot in tournaments recently, a very popular one. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be excited to see that one played again. And now
Tebi last pick.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah. There's a few, and that was just always going to be the Nomad 2. All right, am I not able to read a ref sheet here? Okay, this is bans. All right, that's why. Then we have two bans remaining before the deciding map is ended up with. So yeah, Tebi jumped on that Nomad 2 opportunity. One ban per player left. Hidden 1, Hard Rock 2, DT4. What is your least of 3 evils that you want to try to leave up? I feel that Amamya Kokoro can do well in any of these. Maybe just bans Hidden 1 because it's the most mechanically demanding of the 3 remaining maps.
I'd agree with that. I think the gimmicky nature of DT4 and the just HR2 being a skill set that's pretty good for Amamya Kokoro. I feel like he'll want to leave those 2 ups. Yeah, Amamya getting a bit confused with the format. Just acceptable. This is still a very new format. I've only played a few matches on it so far.
Oh, it's going to be Tebi banning the Hidden 1, so now Amamya Kokoro basically has the choice of... This is essentially getting last pick here. If you're okay with one of these 2 maps, you just get last pick by banning the other one. It's Hard Rock 2, which is super precision. Infinity Heaven Hard Rock is CS 7.8, and that is the map that he is going to choose to leave up. So that will be our decider pick at the very end. So that is draft done. For these 2 players, we have the picks of Nomad 4, Nomad 5, and Hidden 3 for Amamya Kokoro. We have the picks of DT3, Hidden 2, and Nomad 2 for Tebi. And as we were discussing, it feels to me that in general, this matchup is just favored toward Amamya Kokoro on kind of like expected skill cap alone. You're just anticipating Amamya Kokoro to perform a little bit better on average with a pool that's this difficult.
Yeah, and the Twitch prediction is also reflecting this. You have 671,000 channel points bet on Amamya Kokoro up against just 4,000 bet on Tebi. So, if you want Tebi to win, put some channel points on him because you'll be making a real bounty in Osu Live channel points if Tebi manages to pull this one out. But yeah, I mean, Amamya Kokoro has just been on a different level as of late, and I feel like he's just very advantaged in this matchup, almost across skill sets. So Tebi really gonna need to step this one up if he wants to have a chance of making it out of this matchup. But yeah, about to get on into it. We've got our first pick, the DT3, the Fergus speed map. Lots of finger control in this one, and Tebi's first pick.
And this should be a pretty closely fought one. This was, of the maps that these 2 had in common in their first matches, this was the closest of them. 77,000 points, all that separated the players. So it will just come down to who is more comfortable on this pick, I think, at this exact point in time. Winner of this one goes onward into the winner's final tomorrow. A lot on the line here as we get underway, and accuracy early on there just at the start favoring Amamya Kokoro a little bit, but that's going to swing quickly. This is a ridiculously challenging pick with this rate adjust here. at, oh goodness, what is this? 256 BPM break core heavy burst map. And you can see both the players struggling a decent amount, accuracy dropping quite low, combo bit struggling for both players through the first quarter of the map.
Yeah, but the most important thing is that the score deficit is not too high for either of these players, because it's not too much about who wins, it's about that score deficit. And it being only 10k means it's not going to be too impactful of a pick thus far. But as we approach the halfway point, it's just still going to remain super close. It flips back over to Amamya's side, but only by a few thousand points.
And realistically, I think if you're Amamya Kokoro, you're okay with this as long as it's close, considering it was your opponent's pick. So just avoiding giving up too much score on it, whoever ends up losing this pick, that's kind of the optimal situation. We've had a lengthy amount of discourse regarding speed picks. You know, they are the most binary of skill sets. You're likely to see the biggest gaps in score between players, between a speed specialist and a non-speed specialist. And you're starting to see that reflected a bit here with the accuracy now in favor of Tebi by 2% and the combo largely his way. Nearly 100k advantage, which could be big going forward through this match if he can hold on to this kind of gap. 100k starting lead is sizable to say the least.
Yeah, and I think Tebi's really going to need this going into some of Amamya's picks, as Amamya has gotten some insane scores, especially on the Nomad 4. So Tebi, combo gaming so long, finally dropping, but he has done his work. That lead is 150k in favor of Tebi going into the end of this map, and that is a very good lead for him in this matchup.
And that's a big turnaround as well. That's essentially on the order of a 210,000, 220,000 point turnaround compared to how this map went previously, where Amamya Kokoro, if you look at their scores from their first matches, won this by a bit. This time around in the head-to-head, it's Tebi taking a 147k lead off of this pick. And like you said, multiple of the Amamya Kokoro picks look very good for him and not as great for Tebi. But having this kind of advantage to fall back on when you're going into Amamya Kokoro's first two picks is a large boon for Tebi. If he can manage to keep Nomads 4 and 5 close, he'll be in a pretty good position at about the halfway mark of the match. So we'll go into the Nomad 4 first pick for Amamya Kokoro with, I think, bated breath, because this was a massive gap the other way around. 183k to Amamya Kokoro when you compare their scores on this map previously, looking to make that happen again to bring this gap down.
We've got Nelv mapped by Halgo. Very notorious tech mapper, to say the least. A lot to slider aim in this one. Something that has kind of been the main skill set for Amamya Kokoro and just South Korea as a whole in the Osu World Cup. Really, really keen on picking these tech maps at every opportunity they can, and not gonna shy away from picking it here either.
In we go. This map is frankly brutal. The slider aim requirement is gargantuan. Let's see how the players handle it, as it just throws you right into the pick instantly. This was a map that both Amamya Kokoro and Enri performed incredibly well on. Looking for that to happen again perhaps here and have a battle on it between Amamya Kokoro and now Tebi on the other side. And boom, into the drop you go. The gigantic slider aim, some control tapping as well. And the advantage goes to Amamya Kokoro early on, already up by 30,000 points, and we've barely gotten into it at all. Tebi with multiple breaks early on, and the accuracy down to 94%. Clearly not a map that he is quite as comfortable with. And Amamya Kokoro looking to take full advantage.
Yeah, on the other side of Tebi, repeated breaks, we're seeing still a full combo coming up from Amamya Kokoro, and that lead is exploding in his favor. Already almost about 100,000, and we're only a third of the way into the map. Still so much score left to be gained for Amamya Kokoro, and he is just beasting his way through these sliders in that slider stream. And he's about to make it to the next slow part, so very good stuff from him. And that lead from Tebi on the first pick has just already dried up, as Amamya still FCing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is a crazy performance from Amamya once again on this pick, man. He set a high standard for himself after the first match on it, and he's looking to live up to it. We are at the 2/3 mark, still holding the FC, still 98 AC. And finally will fall on that difficult flow stream. Tebi does have some combo built up. So he may be able to work away at that lead in the last quarter of the map. But a lot of the damage has already been done. It is a 175k lead. Tebi falls immediately, and this score lead, 147k on one map, is just not going to have been enough once this is over, because Amamya Kokoro is going crazy on this pick once again.
Yeah, that massive combo is such a boon for Amamya Kokoro. 200k score lead, and that's probably not going to dissipate at all by the end of this. So that's going to bring the overall score to be about 50 or 60k in favor of Amamya Kokoro when it's all said and done. And it's going to be even more successful than that compared score led us to believe.
Yeah, that was everything Amamya Kokoro could have ever wanted out of the pick. And he even improved his score from the first go around, 730k up to that 788k. Really, really strong performance. Tebi, for his part, went from 546 to 569k. But there's only so much you can do when your opponent does that well on a map. And just like that, like you said, 71k immediately over to Amamya Kokoro, and he still has his second pick to come here. So we'll go into Nomad 5, Mad Piano Party, which is simply brutal. To see if Amamya Kokoro can continue to expand that lead. Tebi, generally speaking, not a bad gimmicky map player, but in this matchup, I think you have to favor this one once again to Amamya Kokoro, much like the last pick.
Well, I think this one is going to be a really important pace setter because right after this, we have the low AR hidden map. So to see who can really take an advantage on this no-mod low AR gimmicky pick is going to be massive because it's going to make a lot of the confidence going into the next map. I mean, this one more of a reading-focused aim control map, while the next one is more of an aim map. Both are still low AR, so it's going to be really important to see who can take a massive advantage on this one. And about to get on into it, Mad Piano Party mapped by Panic.
In we go. A little bit more of a marathon this week with the extra couple of picks in these matches, whereas last week felt a little bit more like a sprint. That extra 2 maps can go a long way. So we'll see how the players handle the extra length, extra guaranteed picks. And this map, do you know offhand, because I'm not entirely sure, what beat snap those 1/3 or those 3-note triples are? Is that like 1/6 or faster? Because it seems even faster.
I'm not sure. It's been a while since I played this map, but it's tough out the gate for Tebi, finding that early drop. Amamya Kokoro still holding on to the FC, but goes down. So it's going to be about even here. This map's a short one. We're already a third of the way through, and both players repeatedly finding some breaks, but it's going to be a little worse for Tebi out of that section. Amamya now with a 35k lead and growing.
Yeah, the control aim / flow aim sections in this map are absolutely brutal. The way those streams overlap on themselves and back over themselves, very, very challenging, both in the reading and the aim and tapping departments. It throws a lot of difficulty at you, as well as those quicker bursts that can be easy to, if not break on, at least drop back on. It is a break eventually from Amamya Kokoro, so combo advantage does go the way of Tebi for the moment. About the 2/3 mark here of this pick. We'll see if Tebi can bring this back a little bit, but that act difference is really helping out Amamya Kokoro, up 97 and low 94s. And with Tebi breaking, this might be another 100k or more in favor of Amamya Kokoro.
Yeah, probably. Tebi finding some struggles on that burst into the flow pattern, and that's just going to spell doom for him on this one. Really close to the end. Amamya with big combo could expand this lead all the way up to even like 150k by the end as Tebi continues to struggle on the ending of this map. And it is going to be another 150k plus score gap for Amamya Kokoro on this one going into the hidden 2 pick. And that's not a great look for Tebi going into another low AR map.
No, that was a really good performance from Amamya Kokoro, though. You got to give him a lot of credit, especially comboing that entire ending. Managed to expand that score gap out some more just based on hitting the end and Tebi struggling with the end. A very good score once more. 725k is pretty strong on that map for as challenging as it is. And there you go, 242k in favor of Amamya Kokoro. We still have 4 maps left, so there's still a lot of time. But as you said, Mad Piano Party kind of going to act as a little bit of a barometer going forward. You got a couple of, reading and tech picks from Amamya Kokoro. Now we're going to go into a couple more, one of which is a Tebi pick, and it looks a little less certain that he might do well compared to Amamya on this map based on how the reading aspects of the previous picks went. So Tebi really going to need to lock in here, needs to get a decent amount of score back on his own pick. And then, you know, the big question marks are going to come up at the ending. We got to get through Bestrafung and through Shadow Castle first before we really see how much meaning there will be in those last two picks. So in we'll go to the second pick, excuse me, for Tebi, going to the low AR hidden. And this one is a pretty challenging, kind of awkward, snappy with some flow aim sections. Lot in this one as well. Kind of has its similarities to the map we just played, though.
Yeah, this one initially a custom for, I think, the OS World Cup in 2021, I think, in the final stage or grand finals, but regardless, this map, a much different feel. Only thing that's really similar between this one and the last map is that approach rate, but this one going to be entirely focused on the aim, while the other one, lot more control aspect in terms of both tapping and reading, so this one could fit Tebi a little bit better, but that's not going to be the case out of the start after finding a couple of breaks and a massive accuracy difference in favor of Amamya Kokoro, who's up at 99%. But Tebi going to find another drop as we get into this difficult jump section here. It's just all about on how long Amamya can hold, because he is still holding on to such a strong full combo, but there it goes, FC down. Tebi now, ball in his park, has opportunity to take back a combo lead here, but he's going to find a break as well, so it's just going to go straight back to Amamya Kokoro to see how long he can hold.
Showing some difficulty for both players, really taking advantage of their opponent's misses at any point. It's largely that accuracy gap here for Amamya Kokoro, 99 to 96. Avoiding those big act drops has been very useful. Another break there from Tebi, and his own pick not going nearly so well as he would have liked. We're going to be coming up on the halfway mark with Amamya Kokoro holding onto a 38k lead, but the combo advantage and the accuracy advantage pretty heavily in his favor to try to build some order of a gap up here into the back half of the map. Players just need to build some combo, and again, like, just the struggles, right? Whoever is in the lead on this pick, unable to keep the combo up. It's another break there from Amamya Kokoro this time. And now we'll see if Tebi can maybe work to bring this back a little bit.
Yeah, this map is just so relentless. The awkward aim in this really never stops, and it is just so hard to really find your footing on this type of map. Like, those angles are so difficult to snap properly. Tebi gets through them properly, though. 220 combo should be able to bring that advantage back over to his side if he can hold just a little bit longer. But he's got another one of these difficult linear aim sections to get through.
Keeping it up, though, is Tebi here. Does have the combo live. There it goes. A break on just the last note of that pattern. Breaks right after as well. And Amamya Kokoro, just like that, instantly swings the lead over. 200 combo and that accuracy advantage. A little smaller than it was, but the combo advantage is there. Both break on the big full screen jumps. Both having a lot of trouble with the aim components of this. The snapping low AR aim can be a bit of a challenge, but it is all fine in that regard for Amamya Kokoro. He's going to be okay with this one, you know, being close, and obviously going to be okay with himself being in the lead on it, but anything close would have been fine with an already 242k lead, and that lead is going to grow out. We're going to see a gap of probably about 300k once this one is over, and that's starting to sound alarm bells if you're Tebi, with only one pick of his own to come, and Amamya Kokoro looking very, very strong on these early maps.
Yeah, I mean, this lead is going to be even higher than 300k for the end for Amamya Kokoro. It's going to be more like 350k, and there it is, 353k in favor of Amamya Kokoro now after the hidden 2. And that, as you mentioned, is just full alarm bells. Tebi now basically needs an FC on one of the remaining maps in order to really bridge this gap, and that is going to be tough on a map pool this difficult.
Yeah, I don't unfortunately know where Tebi can pull this much of a gap back on the remaining picks with Amamya Kokoro looking this good. 3 maps still to go, but it's Hidden 3, which is his own pick, Nomad 2, which he did very well on the first time around, and Hard Rock 2, which he, you know, essentially made the last pick with that ban of DT4. So Tebi has got to really figure something out here. He'll have to pull off something pretty remarkable in these last couple maps to bring this much of a gap back, because I just don't foresee Amamya Kokoro underperforming on any of these picks. So it's going to need to be like an FC or 2 from Tebi, you know what I mean, to build up that kind of score difference.
Yeah, and Shadow Castle, this map is notoriously brutal for the aim control, just the awkward flow streams in this. Getting an FC on this would be an absolutely legendary performance, and he just about needs it if he wants to come back in this matchup. This map, the aim control is even worse than the aim control that was giving the players trouble on the Nomad 5 from earlier, so this going to be a really contentious one. Both of them still holding on to the FCs, though. None of the early aim control patterns giving either of these players any trouble. Tebi finding a couple of 50s, but managing to hold on to the combo. But here we go into the Ki section. This is where you expect players to find the drop. The aim control just ramps up so massively, but both of these players still holding on to their full combos. This is kind of absurd so far through the first third of the map.
And it's going to be the first break to come from Amamya Kokoro. After that 700 combo nearly, Tebi continues to hold on. So we could be seeing our first maybe misplay here a little bit from Amamya Kokoro, who did pick this map. Don't know that you anticipate your opponent putting up this kind of score. Finally, it is going to be a break, though, on that little control aim pattern for Tebi. And goodbye to the lead as Amamya Kokoro once more holding ridiculous accuracy and building the combo back up. And the lead goes his way. We'll see how long he can hang on through some of these difficult slider sections before getting back into that control tapping aim.
It was a really good combo for Tebi there, but he really needed to see an FC on this map, all things considered. Like, halfway through, holding an FC halfway through Shadow Castle is no small feat. This map is so brutal, but Tebi, with how Amamya Kokoro is performing right now on this map, with that reestablished combo, Tebi really needed to FC this one, and now repeatedly finding some breaks as Amamiya's combo is ballooned back up to 660. So we get into that second final Ki section. It's going to look to be a very impressive, perhaps even a one miss for Amamya Kokoro on this.
That does have to make his way through the ending and will not do so successfully, falling on one of those additional tricky control tapping aim patterns. But nonetheless, the damage will once more be done. This pick looked like it may be a question mark at the halfway mark with Tebi holding on to that big FC. But Amamya Kokoro recovering so well. Few breaks in the ending where Tebi is holding is going to drop the score lead down a bit, but it's still going to be 93k built off of this map. And that score lead now 446k. I mean, these scores from Amamya Kokoro are frankly ridiculous. 732k is not bad by any means for Tebi. Like, that is a really solid score in a vacuum. But when you're going up against a player dropping 825k, there just isn't that much you can do, unfortunately. That is a crazy performance from Amamya Kokoro. That lead is massive. There are 2 maps to go. 446k. It would need to be full collapse mode for Amamya Kokoro, unfortunately. We're getting to that stage of the match now where there is just not a whole lot Tebi can do. And the question that I'm almost more interested in now is whether Amamya Kokoro can break that 5 million score like he did in his first match, and like AKNZX set the standard 5.2 million. Can Amamya Kokoro get up to that with a, what would that be, about a 1.7 million over the next 2 maps?
Yeah, that would be insane if he can get up to 5 mil, but I'd like to point out that 99.39 accuracy from Amamya Kokoro on Shadow Castle. That is actually insane for a map like that where a lot of players struggle to really stay on the streams. If you just miss once, you have the chance of missing the whole stream, but Amamya staying above 99 despite the misses. Super impressive from him, but here it is, Nomad 2, Dream and Attraction. This almost feels like Tebi's last stand here. Really needs to put up an insane score on this in order to claw back a lot of that lead before the last map, but with how Amamya is playing, it almost feels like it's already out of reach.
Yeah, you kind of hate, you know, to call the victory ahead of time. We still have a couple maps left, but it would take Amamya Kokoro having a really bad time on this map and Tebi probably pulling off an FC or something near it, because you got to figure if he doesn't do something like a 900k to 500k here, there's just no coming back, considering how difficult the one remaining map will be after this, which is that CS 7.8 Hard Rock. So this needs to be Tebi's just absolute masterclass on this pick. We'll see if he can do it.
And I think it's definitely possible. Tebi got, I believe, 681k on this last time, so very capable of putting up a very strong score on this, but gonna be needing an FC in order to bring this one back, so
and
really
early break as well, so that's not going to help matters.
Yeah, definitely not at all, as Amamya holds on through the beginning stream, still holding on to that SS. Very strong. Get into the next stream section. This is a stream map, by the way. Lots of flow aim, gonna be the main skill set tested on this one. And Amamya Kokoro, after the last map, that flow aim is not gonna be a question at all for him. He is looking so strong.
Yeah, Amamya has been just dominant on the flow so far today. Has looked really good, whether it's, you know, kind of that flow slider aim or flow tapping. You know, it's been a string for him. Another break there from Tebi. Lead in favor of Amamya Kokoro does finally drop his first couple of 100s, but no real matter as the combo still alive and continuing to grow through these challenging flow and slider aim patterns. Very impressive stuff here from Amamya Kokoro, man. Lead nearly 100k. Can he hold on through this diff spike here? And wow, he does into the next section. Incredible stuff. Over 1100 combo for Amamya Kokoro.
Yeah, Amamya, just all eyes on him. One of the top tourney players in Korea. One of the centerpieces of their super successful OWC roster that's gotten second now twice in a row. And he is just going off right now. 99.5%. The PP counter in the top right. This is a 600 PP score in a tournament right now and rising. And he is just continuing to hold on now. Halfway through the map, finally finding that first break. But still, that combo is already done enough. It's 150k of lead, and Tebi now back way up against the wall. I don't even know if there's anything he can do left in this match with how Amamya is doing.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider how much score is remaining in this map and you know what the likely outcomes of the next pick are, this is looking kind of over, unfortunately, at this juncture. I just don't see what Tebi can possibly do, especially not when he's even breaking in this easier section. So, you know, one map plus a minute of this one remaining. This match is essentially out of hand. Kind of just going to be looking at what the total score ends up being for Amamya Kokoro, which the 5 mil still in play here. You know, gets another couple 100k in the last minute of this with how note dense it is. And only would end up at that point needing a few 100k on the last pick. It might be challenging, but it is still a possibility, and we're just going to kind of watch this play out here. This map, 170k in Amamya Kokoro's favor, really not much Tebi can do, and that's more or less going to decide the match. So we're just looking at the total scores. We're kind of playing for pride here for Tebi and kind of seeing just how high a score Amamya Kokoro can achieve.
Yeah, I assume Amamya can get probably up to 850k on this one, maybe 800 if he can hold on through the rest. But she is probably going to do at this rate, looking super comfortable on these streams, 99.28%, and it's probably going to be more around the likes of 850k. Just a few seconds left in the map.
See if he hits the kick slider jumps here at the end and the last space stream, and he does. There you go, Miles. 847k, 4.3 million through 6 of 7 maps from Amamya Kokoro. Another just sterling showing from the Korean player. Tebi, not a terrible score either, down at 623k, but I mean, a lot of the time, that's not a bad score. It's just, again, you're against an opponent who's dropping these 800k plus scores. It's like, what more can you even do? This is just Amamya Kokoro putting on a clinic today in this match.
It's never been a question of if Tebi is performing well. It's just Amamya Kokoro has just consistently been one step higher in this matchup. And apart from that DT3, Tebi never really able to get an advantage on any of these picks, and Amamya able to consistently get 100k deficits over Tebi on this, which is pretty much why he has such a dominating lead up at 670k. Now going into Infinity Heaven, Amamya needs about 650k in order to reach that difficult 5 mil mark, and with how he's been playing in this matchup, I think that's very likely.
Yeah, I think the 5 mil definitely in play here. But this map, pretty tough. I mean, it's more flow aim, but those small circles, man, we'll see. But in we go here. A little quiet build up before you get into the real streams, but it's like the spacing, absolutely absurd once it gets going.
Yeah, and the circle size, 7.8 on flow aim is not to be underestimated as we see Amamya find that early drop. So Tebi gonna have a lead here.
Maybe this map not quite as good for Amamya Kokoro as we would have thought going in. Maybe Tebi better at precision than we would have thought going in. It'd be nice for Tebi, you know, to get a point, as it were. Or would this be a second point? I may be misrecalling. Yeah, it would be a second point. A second map where he gains some score on his opponent. Not that it really matters to the total outcome, of course, but morale booster, you know?
But yeah, for Tebi, I mean, making it this far to the winners semifinals is a very good run from him.
Just a bit of map to go here as we go into the last minute of this match. We have a nail-biter of a final map. What could have been if every pick in this matchup was this close? The score gap would not be quite so wide. And we go into these last flow patterns. We'll see Amamya Kokoro needs about another 150k in the last 40 seconds of the map to break that 5 mil barrier. And for Tebi, just looking to hold the combo, maybe get another kind of map win, map point gained on the board, regardless of the total outcome. And these streams do not let up. The spacing so challenging on these tiny circles. That big flow.
Oh, it's going to be so close.
It's going to be so close. This is going to be so close.
Oh my god, there's like nothing in the ending here.
Is there enough combo? I mean, there's 15 seconds.
There it is.
There's at least a bit of combo. Yeah, it is going to happen. So we will see Amamya Kokoro for the second time breaking the 5 million score barrier, which is a really, really impressive showing for him. 700. Oh, thanks, client. What's his final score? Oh,
that's 700k. That has to be.
It's got to be like it's 700k, right? Come on. Oh, we don't get to see. Damn, this client. But it is going to be the win regardless for Amamya Kokoro. It looks like the total score difference is going to be 691k, and it did end up being a 700,311 point score on that last map. So Amamya Kokoro, after dropping 454k on the DT3, doesn't drop under 700k the rest of the way in the match. And he will be the victor, 5,048,208 to 4,357,110. And by that large margin, it's going to be Amamya Kokoro going onward into the winner's final tomorrow. He will await the victor of AKNZX versus Flying Tuna in what is going to be a crazy couple of matches, because all three of those players looking so good thus far.
Yeah, and I mean, we have the potential for an all-Korean matchup here in the winner's final if Flying Tuna does manage to beat AKNZX, but he's going to have his work cut out from him. I feel like this score differential kind of format really favors AKNZX and his speed prowess, but we're going to see how that goes. That one is going to be tomorrow at 7 UTC, I believe, so be there.
beasts as far as the eye can see. A plague on the surface, a disgusting swarm in the skies. With a crash of thunder, a new demon appears. Unfurling its rotten wings, it lets out a petrifying scream. Time to fight back.